Millions of Americans who depend on Social Security and SSDI benefits closely watch their payment dates each month. For many households, these checks are the main source of income, covering rent, groceries, utilities, and other daily needs. Because of this, any update about payments creates attention and sometimes confusion. Recently, news has been spreading about 2 payments being sent out this Monday for certain beneficiaries. Understanding why this happens, who qualifies, and how the timing works is important so people can plan their budgets with confidence. The Social Security Administration and the IRS sometimes issue payments that appear close together. This is not a bonus or a new program, but rather the result of how the payment schedule falls on the calendar. For example, if the first of the month lands on a weekend or a federal holiday, the payment may be sent earlier. This means that people could see one deposit at the end of a month and then another deposit at the beginning of the next month, creating the impression of receiving 2 payments close together. In reality, these payments represent 2 different scheduled benefits. For those on supplemental security income, also known as SSI, this situation happens several times each year. SSI is designed to support low-income seniors and people with disabilities. Normally, SSI payments are sent on the first of each month. However, when the first lands on a Saturday, Sunday, or holiday, the payment is sent the business day before. Because of this, some people see 2 deposits in the same month. Even though it feels like an extra check, the payment actually belongs to the following month, which is why there will be no deposit in that next cycle. This calendar shift can create confusion, but the total yearly amount of benefits stays the same. People who receive Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSDI, as well as retirees on regular Social Security, follow a slightly different schedule. Payments are usually sent based on the beneficiary's birth date. Those with birthdays in the first part of the month get their deposit earlier, while others receive theirs later in the month. This staggered approach helps the system manage millions of payments without overwhelming banks or direct deposit systems all at once. When a holiday changes the schedule, some people end up receiving 2 payments close together. This is not a surprise benefit, but simply the way the system keeps everything running smoothly. This Monday, some beneficiaries will notice 2 payments arriving in their accounts. The first will be a regularly scheduled check, while the second is the result of the early deposit rule when the next cycle lands on a weekend or holiday. While the idea of 2 payments is exciting, it is important to remember that this does not mean extra money overall. It is simply an adjustment in timing. Budgeting carefully remains essential because the following month will not include an additional check. For seniors and people with disabilities living on fixed incomes, these back-to-back payments can be both helpful and challenging. On one hand, receiving 2 deposits at once can make it easier to catch up on overdue bills, buy groceries in bulk, or cover emergency expenses. On the other hand, some recipients may spend both checks too quickly and then struggle through the following month when no payment arrives. That is why financial experts often remind beneficiaries to treat the second deposit as though it belongs to the next month. Setting it aside can prevent stress later on. Another point of confusion comes from the difference between Social Security, SSDI, and SSI payments. Many people use these terms interchangeably, but they are separate programs. Social Security retirement benefits are based on a worker's lifetime earnings and the taxes paid into the system. SSDI also depends on work history, but is meant for those who become disabled before reaching retirement age. SSI, by contrast, is not tied to work history. Instead, it helps people with very limited income and resources, including children with disabilities and older adults with little or no work record. Each program has its own rules, payment schedules, and eligibility standards. Understanding these distinctions helps explain why payment timing can vary from one household to another. In recent years, more beneficiaries have switched to direct deposit instead of paper checks. This makes the process faster, safer, and more reliable. Paper checks can be delayed by mail disruptions, weather events, or even theft. Direct deposits usually arrive on time, often early in the morning on payment day. For those who use prepaid debit cards linked to government benefits, funds are loaded automatically. Still, delays can sometimes occur due to bank processing times or technical issues. If a deposit does not arrive on the expected date, Recipients are encouraged to wait one full business day before contacting the Social Security Administration or their bank. Tax season can also add to the confusion around payment dates. The IRS and the Social Security Administration are separate agencies, but their work sometimes overlaps. For example, the IRS handles taxes on Social Security benefits and has been involved in delivering stimulus payments in past years. When people hear that the IRS is sending payments, they often assume it is a new benefit or a special check. In reality, most Social Security and SSDI payments are handled directly by the Social Security Administration, not the IRS. The exception is when tax refunds or credits are deposited around the same time, which can create the impression of extra payments. This Monday's double payment event is part of the normal yearly cycle and not a new form of financial aid. Beneficiaries should not expect this pattern every month. Typically, it happens a few times per year, depending on how weekends and holidays fall. The best way to stay informed is to review the official Social Security payment calendar, which is updated each year. This calendar lists every payment date in advance, helping people plan ahead for moments when two checks arrive close together or when a month will have no deposit at all. For those who rely on these funds, budgeting strategies can make a big difference. Some recipients split their payments into two parts, setting aside half for regular bills and half for food, medicine, or emergencies. Whenever there is talk of two checks or extra payments, scammers may try to trick people into sharing personal information. No government agency will call, email, or text asking for a Social Security number, banking details, or payment in exchange for benefits. Official information is shared through mailed letters, the Social Security website, or trusted news sources. Beneficiaries who receive suspicious messages should ignore them and report the attempt. The reality is that Social Security, SSDI, and SSI provide critical support to tens of millions of Americans. Without these programs, many seniors and disabled individuals would face severe financial hardship. The payment schedule, while sometimes confusing, is designed to ensure steady support throughout the year. Double payments, like the one happening this Monday, are simply a part of that system and not a sign of new legislation or policy changes. Knowing this helps people separate fact from rumor and manage their expectations with confidence. Families of beneficiaries often play an important role in handling finances. Adult children, caregivers, or trusted relatives may help with online banking, budgeting, or watching out for fraud. When two payments arrive close together, families can remind beneficiaries that the second deposit must last into the next month. Communication within families can prevent overspending and reduce stress for everyone involved. This Monday's payments will bring relief and perhaps a sense of surprise to many households. For some, it may feel like a bonus. For others, it may be a reminder of the tight budgeting required when living on fixed income. Either way, understanding the reason behind the timing can reduce confusion. The checks are not new benefits, but simply part of the way the system works. Staying aware of the schedule and planning ahead are the best ways to make the most of these funds. Disclaimer: this content is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as financial, legal, or tax advice. Payment schedules and eligibility rules for Social Security, SSDI, and SSI are determined by the Social Security Administration and may vary depending on individual circumstances. The mention of two payments reflects the way the official calendar works and does not represent a new program or additional benefit. Readers should always verify details through the official Social Security Administration website or contact SSA directly for